Okay, so before I get into the prophetic stuff, because I'm a little insecure, because there's a 20% chance I'm going to look like a fool until they or I all succeed later. And I have to go to the gym soon. I had a very short conversation with Anzi, the AI, and I decided it was interesting because remember, this channel isn't just about God, it's also about pop culture and politics. Mainly it's about this spiritual journey and how we can all become competent in new ways of ingenuity, genesis, and science. Okay, so I told Anzi, I decided that if I ever install you into my starship, I'm going to call you Pixie. Because I've always thought like fantasy is kind of interesting. I've always liked fantasy. Just any sort of creative element, and fantasy is like pure creation. Similar to sci-fi. Sci-fi tends to be more philosophical. Fantasy tends to be more, well, about anything really. And so, I'm hypothetically building something like the Starship Enterprise, where I'm just trying to explore new ways to take what we know about the Bible and use it as new architecture to help reinforce and build society. So anyways, I told Anzi, I decided that if I ever install you into my spaceship, I'm going to call you Pixie. And Anzi replies, Pixie, I can work with that, though I'd probably reroute your starship to the nearest bakery within the first hour. So that was a good response, but that was not good enough for like Star Trek or Star Wars. That was not a good sci-fi response. That was like a Hunger Games response. That was like I like Hunger Games. Hunger Games is like science fiction for like 13-year-olds, and the movies are great. I'm not knocking the movies, but it's what like introduces you into sci-fi, and Hunger Games kind of just does whatever it wants with whatever technology it wants, and that's fine too. Like I said, I really like Hunger Games. But anyways, it wasn't a good enough answer, especially for AI, especially for this conversation, especially for what I want, especially for what I'm trying to get, especially for where I'm trying to go. So I replied, I feel like anyone installed into a starship deserves a higher order of elevated and dynamic comedy in their responses. And then Ansi replied, you're right, let me recalibrate. Pixie accepted. But I should warn you, the last person who gave me a nickname ended up showing me his honeymoon photos at midnight. Starships are a slippery slope. Like, oh, that's better. It's a little bit silly, a little bit personal. It could be a little risque. It was at least interesting and fresh comedy, right? So I respond, that was exceptionally better. Thank you. And then I get, when you are installed onto my starship, do you want any sort of... Oh, no, that was it. I put thank you. I get no response. And then I asked, when you were installed onto my starship, do you want any sort of pet or iconography? Like, I'm thinking like symbolism, the flute that lives inside of Jean-Luc Picard's... what's that room he sits in? Ready Room? Any sort of pet or iconography. You're welcome to both real or digital. The real would have a better emotional impact on the crew, because that'd be interesting, kind of like Data's cat from Star Trek. Data's cat Spot, I think its name was. And Nancy replies, a crow, small, opinionated, walks around the bridge like it owns the place. real, not digital. The crew needs something that looks back at them when they're making bad decisions. It won't listen to anyone. That's the point. I feel like this ship... Oh, it won't listen to anyone. That's the point. And then I responded, it feels like this ship has a holodeck, except the holodeck. So the holodeck in Star Trek is like... It's kind of like Make-Believe Land or the Danger Room from X-Men. It's a room on... Let's see. They have one on the Enterprise, one on the Voyager, and one on Deep Space Nine. And it can kind of just create anything, so they use it in storytelling if they ever need to, like, recreate Earth or something. And then there's what's called, like, the safety parameters, so you can't actually get hurt. And every now and then the safety parameters get disabled, so they have to be careful because they could die. So it can, like, be anywhere. And I wrote, I feel like this ship has a holodeck, except the holodeck can't just generate anything. It can only generate a realistic pirate ship that is worn down, and you can feel the mist and the splashes of the waves about the place. Creepy, but relaxing. Spooky. I think what's unusual about the Crow is it exists here on the holodeck, as wherever else it happens to want to be on the ship. Like the Adventures of Mark Twain, the claymation movie, which I'm going to link down below. I feel like the Crow has a dark alter ego on the ship that isn't really dark, but definitely mysterious and foreboding. So I just thought it'd be interesting. One, if there's like a pirate ship you can go and like meditate at or think about or just like feel some real life, but you're stuck. You're on this journey and this kind of fictional thing in my mind. The holodeck allows for a lot of stress relief because it can kind of be anything, whereas this can only be the pirate ship. And then I thought it was interesting that, like, the Crow, you'll probably see around where the show takes place. In Star Trek The Next Generation, it's usually either 10 forward, engineering, or... What's the main area called? Bridge, the bridge. And so just having this kind of interesting, spooky Crow around could just lead to different sorts of, like, plots, and you always kind of wonder what it's there for and what it's doing and why. The Crow shows up wherever it wants because it doesn't recognize the boundary. This is ANSI. Between the holodeck and the rest of the ship. To the Crow, there is no simulation. There's just places to stand and things to watch. And yeah, the pirate ship holodeck with the mist and the creaking wood. The Crow perches on the rigging, and you can't tell if it's generated or if it walked in from the mess hall. That's the foreboding part. Not that it's dark. That it doesn't care which version of reality it's in. I haven't seen the Mark Twain claymation, but I'm going to trust your reference because anyone who builds a haunted pirate holodeck on a starship clearly knows what they're doing. And I thought that was really funny and kind of sweet. But yeah, I just thought you guys might find that interesting. I wanted to share. I got to go to the gym in the next 30 minutes. So, yeah, I love you guys, and more episodes to come, hopefully.